Today on Read Aloud podcast, we're going to start the book by J.E. Stamper called Ugly Me. Forward. Though this book is a work of fiction, it was born, as I expect most fiction truly is, from a very real place in my life. I'd always wanted to be a writer. I'd had countless dreams of serene hours spent in contemplative inspiration at a grand antique writing desk in a sunny nook overlooking a grandiose landscape. In those fantasies, I'd sip hot tea and pen bestsellers in my pajamas while my family enjoyed a comfortable life, living on royalties and sunshine and giant doses of quiet contentment. But after years of waiting around for the right moment, shopping around for the best writing software, scouring the web for the most pretentious looking notebooks and fancy pens, all the while actually writing next to nothing, I finally realized something. I wanted to be a writer, but I was not willing to do what it took to become a writer. I wanted to have done all those incredible things, but I lacked the drive to actually get off my butt and try to do them. I had a clear picture of what I wanted, but I was too afraid to actually begin. That's really what it was, fear. And it took a bunch of school children to help me get over this fear and actually start doing something. You see, after years spent working in public education, both as a teacher and an administrator, I had entered a dark place, emotionally exhausted, mentally stressed, discouraged, and defeated. I was teetering on the edge of despair. I was sick of seeing so many people put each other through so much hell for no reason at all. I'm talking about children and adults alike, and I felt helpless to stop it. But seeing so many children leave to broken homes full of neglect and abuse, only to return day after day and give living another shot, inspired me and gave me the courage I needed to quit making fear filled excuses. I wanted to tell their stories. I wanted to give these invisible sufferers a voice and with it, hope for a brighter future. So I wrote. I poured my heart out. I didn't have the fancy writing notebook or the luxury of a full time writing schedule, but I did have a purpose in the darkness of my dining room. And as my beautiful wife and children slept and hopefully dreamed pleasant dreams, I wrote night after night until I was done. For the first time in my life, and you're now holding that book in your hands, I don't expect to be a bestseller or to gain any amount of riches or fame from this little book, but I do wholeheartedly hope that the folks who read it will see the people around them with more understanding and treat them with more compassion. I hope that my paltry words will somehow make the world a better place. Now read this book and go make someone's life a little happier. Chapter 1. The alarm on my phone cuts through the thing I call sleep now. I sit up on the sofa and stare at the broken screen. It's the first day of seventh grade. Mom is in the bed by the window, drooling into her dingy pillowcase. She slept right through the alarm, dead to the world. Shane was over again last night, so she's probably strung out again. Chances are she'll still be in bed when I get back from school. I pull on shoes that are too tight, a shirt that is too big, and jeans that have too many holes. I look for a Pop Tart in the kitchen, but I can't find one. Mom probably hid them again, so she would have something to eat when she wakes up. I've gotten pretty good at finding the food she hides and at taking the crap she gives me when she finds out I've eaten her stash. But I hear the rumble of the bus down the street. Thankfully, after a summer full of Pop Tart hunts, I have better things to do. At least I'll get to eat at school. Spoiled kids complain about the school food and whine because the fries are soggy and say that the stuff looks like barf and tastes like crap. But I've gotten good at pretending to hate the food while simultaneously eating everything I can. Most days after lunch, I make excuses to my friends, telling them I have to go to the bathroom or something. But really, I'm going back to the cafeteria, stuffing my backpack with the school lunch rejects, small plastic bags of carrots and apple slices left behind by kids too cool to be seen eating something that doesn't have a flashy label. The janitor lady sees me, but she doesn't say anything. Sometimes she gathers the leftovers in a neat little pile for me. The bus appears over the top of the hill. In the glare of the headlights, I see a smiling mom down the street taking pictures of her son in his new school clothes with his new backpack and his new lunchbox. He has black, slick back hair. She wipes tears away from her eyes. I can't believe you're in middle school now, she says. That's nice. At least she dragged her ass out of bed for him. I can't believe there's a kid who lives this close to me that I've never met. But then again, his mom probably doesn't want him hanging out with kids like me. Kids like me. Kids who curse and fight and wear dirty, smelly, worn out clothes. The kind of kids you see on the street and shake your head and say, look at what the world's coming to. The kind of kids who float through life like so much pollution. The kids you see and wonder where the hell the parents are, but don't bother to stop and ask. The detention, suspension, juvie throwaways who leave a bad taste in everyone's mouths. Kids like me. I can't say I blame her. The bus makes its way to my house, coughs, wheezes, and opens its doors. They squeak. As I approach the bus, I tell myself that this year will be better than the last, that this year will be different. I try to channel all that new age Oprah vision board positivity stuff and fool myself into thinking that this will be the year that it all comes together. Because this is the year that I finally find a way to beat the monster, the ugly me who lives inside. The ugly me who lurks just beneath the surface, waiting to lash out. The ugly me who feeds on pain and tears and belches out anger and hurt. But as my foot hits the rubberized tread of the bus steps, my heart begins to race, and I seriously think about turning around and running back into my house, shutting myself in where sure, I'll have to find a way to get some breakfast, but at least I won't have to put up with all those disgusted faces and rolling eyes and hurting words. And I dash onto the bus and find a seat without making eye contact with anyone. So far, so good. The bus smells like it always does, like bus. There's really nothing to compare it to. Anyone who's ever been on a school bus in the past, however long there's been school buses, knows exactly what I'm talking about. They could bottle that smell up and use it as a kid repellent. The bus stops again, and this high school kid gets on. He sits down heavy next to me, and I scooched over and squashed myself against the window, hoping to just melt into it and slide down to the floor. His name is Drake, or Blake, or something, and he smells like he used about a half a can of that body spray that all the boys are always spraying on themselves these days. They think it will make women fall all over them, like in the YouTube ads. But really, it smells like puke took a dump on some garbage and put it in an aerosol can and sold it to a stupid, gullible teenage boy. Hey, Matilda, he says. Hey, I mumble back. I feel super awkward because the last time I saw him, my mom called his mom a bitch and said she would beat the crap out of her if she looked at her like that again. I felt really bad for the lady. All she did was walk by our house and wave, but mom was in a mood. And when mom is in a mood, well, she gets like that. How's it going? He asked. I turned my head a little bit. His jeans are dirty, not just normal dirty, but more like these are my only jeans dirty. It's Miranda, I say. And I'm okay, I guess, for the first day of school anyway. Eighth grade? Seventh grade? Ouch, he says. Seventh grade was the worst year of my life. I'm talking bad. And I'm starting 10th grade for the second time this year. That's how bad it was. Well, that makes me feel just dandy. The bus bumps on, and by the time my school comes into sight, I'm shaking in my seat. Chapter 2. The principal, Mr. Gorley, stands outside, propping the door open with his foot. He had this big, goofy smile on his face. He greets us as we come in and gives us high fives and fist bumps. He asks some kids how their summers were. He doesn't ask me. He probably knows that mine was a real shit show and that I really don't want to talk about it. Nope, not one teeny bit. I just want to get to the cafeteria, grab some breakfast, and find a dark corner to hide in. Good to see you, Miranda, he says. Thanks, I say, not stopping to talk more because I'm riding the wave of preteens through the door and up the huge staircase. It is actually good to see him too. For a principal, he's not too bad. He's not a bad guy. He smiles a lot and seems to really like kids. I don't know what he's smoking, but he must be on some good stuff to keep putting up with all the crazy crap that happens around here. And he doesn't yell at me like pretty much everyone else, even when I really screw up. No one talks to me as I head up the hallway to the cafeteria. So far, so good. If no one talks to me, then at least they can't say anything about my stringy hair or my dirty thrift store reject clothes. I step into the cafeteria, already crowded with kids. I feel my heart pounding like a machine gun in my chest as I scan the room, looking for a friendly face within the sea of students. What I see are tons of kids chatting it up, smiling, trading summer stories, showing off their fresh department store looks. How can they all look so happy? How can they all seem like they belong here? Like they were 3D printed from some middle school molding machine. Why, when I look around the room with like 200 kids, can't I find any other kids like me? Have a seat, some lady teacher yells from across the cafeteria. I flinch like I've been slapped and kind of come to like I'm snapping out of a trance or something. I've been standing there in the middle of the cafeteria just looking around like an idiot, totally frozen. Other people start to notice me. Kids are giving me those, what the hell is her problem looks. What an idiot. I boil over to the serving li- I bolt over to the serving line and snatch up a styrofoam tray and squeeze it to my chest with both arms. I feel the squeaky crack of the styrofoam and realize I'm squeezing too hard. I'm hustled through the line and handed a milk, some kind of weird blue juice, a carton of Fruit Loops, and a banana. $1.25, says the lady at the cash register. I don't recognize her, but her name tag tells me that her name is Sasha. She looks too young to be a lunch lady. Oh, um, I say as I rummage around in my pockets doing the I know I've got the money somewhere because I'm not really as a broke ass loser with a drug addict mom at home who never gives me money for anything because she spends every cent she gets on dope and stupid crap routine. Miss Ruthie, the old lunch lady, dishing out bananas, see what's going on and clears her throat and gives the new lady a sideways kind of look. It's okay, honey, Miss Ruthie says. You just take your breakfast and go on now. Let's just say that Miss Ruthie and I go way back. I turn and head back into the cafeteria with my loaded tray. I take one tiny step into the cafeteria and my tray gives up the ghost. It folds itself forward, dumps its contents onto the floor. My milk explodes like a cold, wet grenade and douses my shoes. The commotion wasn't that bad compared to the general insanity of a middle school cafeteria, but several people notice and start staring at me. A few people laugh, and one joker starts to applaud. Before I know it, the whole cafeteria is applauding. Most of them don't know why, but middle schoolers are like sheep. One idiot does something stupid, and everyone else follows along without really knowing why, without really knowing how it feels to be on the losing side of their mindless complicity, without knowing or without caring. I dump the rest of my tray and jet out of the cafeteria. A high volume, get back here and clean that up right now, young lady, following closely behind. I ignore the command and hightail it into the bathroom. I honestly feel bad about the mess that Miss Kate, the nice janitor lady, will have to clean up. Not a good start to her school year either. I land in the center stall and slam the door. It seems that I've gained some kind of weird, superpowery, embarrassment fueled strength because the door ricochets and jams me in the bony knee. Hot, angry pain throbs through my leg, and I bite down on my wrist to keep from screaming in pain. I finally get the door closed and locked and plop myself down onto the toilet, elbows on my knees, my face cupped in my hands. I fight back tears and rock back and forth. How could I have thought that this year would be any different? A kid like me doesn't belong here.